Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Yvonne, and I just want to explain what I'm doing here. I am creating this series about narcissism because I feel it's very important when it comes when it comes to family life, when it comes within relationships or dating or any kind of member of your family, your child, your son. So narcissism can pose difficulties of trying to understand what the hell is going on. I am an intuitive reader and coach. If you follow me, you will know that. In this series, I'm going to explain all about narcissism and its forms. Why? Because I want to help victims, and I want to help people who are going through this and need some guidance. So I hope you can learn about narcissism from my videos, and they help you along your journey. Okay. Hello, so this series is an overview, basically. It's an overview, but it's going to be a deep overview. It's an overview of narcissism. Narcissism comes, you know, you can go as deep as you would like with narcissism, but I am going to explain to you in like an understandable form where it kind of relates in relationships within our lives. Okay, so you can link that to your own life and experiences. And also, I've also had experiences myself, you know, and about dealing with narcissism in my past. So you know, I can pull that into this to these explanations here to try to help all of us to heal. I think this is the main thing. And if you've been attracted to come to this video, you're not a narcissist, let's put it that way. If you are a narcissist, you will have switched off by now, because you will have seen me as a victim, as like not necessarily one of your victims as per se, but as like somebody you would use to extract validation. So you'll be switching off by now if you're a narcissist. Okay, I'm talking about victims of narcissists here. If you are a victim of codependency, you will have been drawn to this video because you know, I feel if you are a victim, if you're not a victim, you will not be here, or you'll be switching off. You'll have switched off by now. Okay, so we're talking about victims, codependents of narcissism. So a little bit of an overview. This video will go into narcissism. Now, obviously, and I'm just taking it right off the bat, so just be aware that this is not going to be that professional. Like, I'm no professional presenter here. I'm just a normal everyday person, and I have experienced it, and also I've got professional background in nursing too, which I've also experienced narcissism within that too. So I did do some mental health. So using all the tools that I have, also my intuitive gift here, I'm going to make an attempt here at explaining narcissism. Now, narcissism actually comes within, is placed within a spectrum. Okay, there is no narcissism on this end, and on this end there's full-blown narcissism, and they call it NPD. Okay, so you get on with this side here, where there, maybe I should do it the other way. This side, okay, is naught. This is a normal person, or just go, if it's going into this spectrum here, this level here on this bar, then we're talking about borderline narcissism, which the borderline narcissism can be helped if they want to be helped. Okay, over here is full-blown narcissism, where they're into their own reality, and they, you know, they don't want to accept that anything is wrong with them, so they are far beyond help. Okay, but this end, they can be helped. And then we go further up, you know, this spectrum here, and you get like mid-range, and you know, you get kind of further up this this spectrum here towards the full-blown narcissism. So it can be anywhere in this spectrum. There's also different kinds of narcissism. There's covert narcissism, which I will just delve into here. There is inverted narcissism. There is you know, there's the full-blown narcissism, there's a borderline, there's different levels anyway. So what I'm going to explain here very basically is anywhere on that spectrum. Yes, so you may have experienced someone in your life here, family member, mother, son, teenager, and I will go and help and guide with, if you've got anybody in your family with narcissism and you suspect narcissism, how to help them on their journey. If you are a mother and you suspect a son is becoming narcissistic. Throughout this series of videos that I'm going to do, I will help you every step of the way of how to help, how to walk away from a narcissist, how to recognize a narcissist, but that will all be within the series, the traits of narcissists. Okay, so keep watching my videos and you will be guided onto a narcissistic free life. Okay, so let's have a look here. Okay, a narcissist feels very much more superior than your bog standard person. I know that sounds crazy, but we're entering into crazy land now. We're going on to planet Z, you know. This is not our planet. This is not our planet. So you're getting on a spaceship and you're going towards planet Z. A narcissist feels very, very superior than a normal person with a normal mentality. What do I mean by normal person? I'm talking about someone who had a normal childhood, who had a very nurturing childhood, and was instilled with a self-belief that they are loved, that they are cared for, that, you know, they were allowed to express their individuality freely, and, you know, parents kind of celebrated that characteristic, that little character that child is expressing. They're actually adoring that, because they you know, a normal parenting is like developing somebody's identity, character, and enjoying that. Okay, and showing that bonding intimately, and this is very important, you know. For a normal person, you are bonded intimately with your parent, you know, your mother, your father. There's all the you know, oxytocin bonding chemicals going on as soon as you're born, and that's when it starts, is as soon as you're born. You know, as soon as your mother has given birth to you, you are bonded to that mother, you are bonded to that father. They both can't wait to get their hands cuddling you and close to you, and that's where this all begins. Okay, that's the normal person. A narcissistic person, it's all about, they've been brought up with parents very dysfunctional. They've been brought up to not be feel like an individual. They've been brought up without an individual identity, and they don't have an ego. So the parent will have not nurtured that child. Okay, it goes way back to childhood. Will not have will have seen them as a hindrance. You know, leave me alone. Don't do that. Keep away from it. They may have had narcissistic parents actually that don't know how to love, and maybe played scheming little games with their children. You know, so they may have been born into this narcissistic parent land. You know, that's dysfunctional, and you know that the child will feed them. You know, it should be the other way around, where you give your love unconditionally to that child, you know, but it's the other way around for a narcissist parent, and they will expect the love towards them, which is twisted, and this is where it starts. So the child will cry, and the child has needs, and what does the narcissistic parent do? They will, you know, they're not interested in anybody else's needs but their own. So they will let this child cry, you know, leave this child to cry and not attend to that child's needs. Emotional, I would say emotional needs. So wherever there's a weakness in the child, they start to cry because they need attention from mummy or daddy. The parents will negate that because they don't know about, if they are narcissistic, they won't know about emotions. And if they're bringing up a boy, because this is very prevalent in males, and male, I'm not being sexist here, but it can be, it's stated fact that narcissism is very much prevalent in males than females. Okay, because the females that are brought up to be emotional, to be express emotion, and you've probably got a father figure that finds that quite cute, that that female is going to feed that narcissist by the cuddles and all of this. It's all crazy twistedness. Okay. And yet the male child will be, when the male child starts to cry, or the male child wants attention, that male child will be ignored. And so what do they do with those feelings? You know, that the male child will say, don't be pathetic, don't be stupid, don't act like a baby. You know, and they bring this child up to be a monster. You know, they think they're bringing this child up to be a man. You know, men don't have emotions, men don't cry. You know, grow up, be a man. Boys don't cry, boys don't have emotion. So instead of getting the attention, the validation of love, to feed that identity and to feed that ego, and it's all very complicated, I won't go too complicated, instead of the soul, you know, the ego being fed, being validated of love, they don't get that. There's nothing, there's absolutely nothing. It's a ghost town of love. So the child has to kind of push those feelings down and pretend. So they learn very early on that crying gets them nowhere, that showing emotion gets them nothing. And also we're going into child abuse here too. You know, if the child was abused, you know, again, it's twisted. The child has needs, the needs will not get met. That's child abuse. You know, if there is violence and the child is beaten, the child learns not to show any emotion. After a while, the child will not show any kind of, you know, I have to have my needs met. They will stay very quiet. They will push all of this down. Okay, so a lot of mistakes about how to bring a child up is very early on, and we're talking about a child that has had no love, has been denied love, and again, that's emotional abuse. It's the worst form of abuse a child could receive. So you could have two parents that have separated, and the child is in the middle. So you've got one maybe the father figure, I'm not saying the father, it could be the father figure giving this child, this son, you know, very much strict regime of you will be a man, you will grow up a man. And then you've got the mother figure who is trying to compensate, you know, for this abuse, because they know this abuse is going on. So it could be either parent. So this child grows up screwed up, absolutely screwed up, and then they begin to think to themselves, okay, if I pretend to be that person that parent wants me to be, I'll just pretend, and I will hide, you know, that the part of myself that my parents hate. You know, my parents hate me, so now I hate myself. So I will push down all of this, and I will pretend to be this other child, you know, this child that they want me to be. And this is the psychology of abuse, and the psychology of a narcissist in early, you know, when this starts to manifest early on in childhood. So this is how they learn to hide their shame. And they become very bitter towards, as they grow older, they've never had their needs met. And, you know, they may have been victimised and abused. And the parenting, as they're at school, will say, well, you know, why don't you stick up for yourself? You know, it's all your fault. You're not, you know, you're not sticking up for yourself. And, you know, they will yell at their child. They will continuously abuse that child. I'm not saying that all abused children end up narcissists, not at all, but this is how narcissists are formed. So no matter what, they're not allowed to express a personality. If they express a personality or any needs, you know, it's like, who do you think you are, stood on that pedestal? Get yourself off there. You know, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never amount to anything. Don't even try. Who do you think you are? And again, I get parents that used to be narcissism and projecting that onto the child of the way they were brought up. Now, this is very complex. Okay, so that is the basics of how a narcissist has been produced. And at this present time, there is an epidemic. It seems like there's an epidemic of these narcissists that's been brought up with narcissists, you know, like this kind of militarized kind of upbringing where they're not allowed to show any emotion, male or female. Okay, so this is how this person is. So they grow up to be emotional, you know, controlling their emotions. They're not intelligent. They're not emotionally intelligent. Let's get that straight. They're not emotionally intelligent. They don't know how to be mindful. They don't know how to reason. They don't know how to rationalise. They've pushed all that down because every attempt at doing that, they have been scorned for. So every need they've been scorned for. So they've learned to push that down. So this is how this person is created anywhere on this spectrum. Okay. So they grow up to control emotions because emotions, needs are pathetic. You know, they were taught that having emotions were pathetic. You know, stop crying. Why are you saying that you're emotionally hurt? I'm not, you know, it's like, I'm not going to be supportive of you. Who do you think you are? I am not going to be supportive. Nobody was supportive to me, so I'm not going to do that to you. And you've had this all your childhood years in your ear and maybe beyond. Okay, not you, but the sorry, not you, if you are a narcissist, yes. So all your childhood years you've had this. If you've been brought up, and that's another thing I will cover, by narcissists, and you're not a narcissist, then but you've become an empath, then that's a different story. You may have still been abused by narcissists, but you became an empath. You became that person that actually fed everybody's needs in the family, that scapegoat. Okay, but we're not going to cover that on this video. It's about the creation of a narcissist, anywhere on that spectrum. So so here we are with this narcissist, this adult narcissist. There isn't any kind of human feeling there at all. It's all very logical. It's all very cerebral. Okay, there's no room for emotion. It's all logical. And this is where, again, going back to superiority, that's where they feel they are a superior being, because all of these people around them are very weak. They're showing emotions, they're showing cracks in their personality. That person's got issues, that person there has got this emotional, they feel very emotional over watching a movie, and the narcissist will sit there very superior, thinking, well, I don't feel emotion, and I don't even feel like crying over watching that bomb blow off in Sarajevo or Serbia or wherever it is. I don't know why that war was was years ago, wasn't it? So anyway, yeah, I don't see that pain. I don't feel, because I don't feel that emotion, because my emotions are dead. So I don't see if somebody, I can watch somebody being, this is the narcissist speaking, I can watch a murder on television and a person being cut into pieces. I don't feel a thing. I don't feel the emotion of that person being tortured, only that they're screaming out in pain, physical pain. But you know what? I can actually feel that physical pain. I can actually feel that physical pain, and that physical pain, because I can't feel, it's making me feel good. That's actually making me feel good, to feel that pain that that person is, because that's how I want to. It's all twisted, it's craziness, crazy town. Okay, I want to feel that pain, but I can't feel that pain. The only way that I can feel that pain is if I feel it from you. So we've got some, they're not even human, you know. They feel that they're up there because they can, like Hitler in a way, like Hitler, you know, he felt that he was above everybody. He had regimes where he wanted to make sure that people acted like him and behaved, didn't have any needs of their own, just actually supported the Nazis and all of that going on. So this is like, I mean, why that man got into power. I mean, nowadays somebody who's a narcissist would be recognised and brought down. We don't want narcissists in control who have no emotion or compassion or any kind of empathy for nobody, only for themselves. And they actually inflict pain to make themselves feel better. So okay, so they were not able to bond with a parental figure as a child, and then this actually and this abuse in childhood is a very deep scar. Okay, deep scar that's hidden and pushed right down, and it's not even brought up to the surface. Never. Part of that has died. I don't want to remember. And you'll experience this with people who've had severe abuse in childhood. I don't want to remember my childhood. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to revisit it. It's over. It's gone. Okay. And so there's no telling. It's like when you adopt a child at, say, 10 years old, and you find you're having problems. You know, there's resentment, there's rage, and you're trying to understand this small person, but you know, you don't know what's happened in their childhood. And the child is saying, I don't want to talk about my childhood. I don't want to go there. So, because this is like entering into this deep kind of scar. If they brought all that back up again, this would be this deep scar, you know. And narcissists will not allow this. Narcissists will not dig deep to the core problem of why they are who they are. This person with no emotion, no empathy, no compassion. You know, these type of people, I'm not saying all of them, but these are the type of people that would stick pins in a cat's eye, a kitten's eye, and not feel a thing, and kind of feel quite, you know, like they would feel joy from that, because they feel, I'm actually feeling some pain here that I don't feel. So they're very emotionally detached, and let's not mistake this to emotional intelligence. This is not emotional intelligence at all. This is something else, you know. This is totally detached from reality, and that's where these two identities appear. Okay, these people have identity crises, big time, and they have multiple identities. So you will have this real self, which is this child that's stuffed right down, we're never gonna ever go there, and you have this fake personality, and that they may have a number of fake personalities. They may have you know, whoever they meet, they will take that identity and put on that mask of that identity and pretend to be that person just to fit in with society. Okay, because they know they can't feel anything. They know they have these grotesque thoughts of hurting people to feel that pain. So they are a non-entity. Okay, so it's all about, they operate like a machine, you know, a cogged machine. If you think about a robot and a cogged machine that don't have any feeling or empathy, that's what they are underneath. They're a machine with this stuffed kind of I'm trying to explain to you, with this memory card that's stuck in there, which is switched off. Okay, that's how I would explain a narcissist. People around them, they see them as objects. Because they don't feel emotion, they see everybody as objects. Objects, you know, objects like this cup. They feel as much compassion and empathy, well, not to Marilyn, but as like this object, this cup. That's how they see people. In fact, actually, Marilyn Monroe was treated as an object. Actually, she would be a good kind of, not a good, because it's not good at all of this. She was treated like an object by society, so yeah, that's a good interpretation. So inside, deep inside, they're very there's still this very hurt child walking about in this man's body or this woman's body, and they still have this seeping horrible wound inside that's seeping up that they don't want anybody to see, which they're ashamed of, because they're you know, they may have been sexually abused. They're so ashamed of this, and it's like they feel rotten inside. It's like, I'm not worth anything. I'm not worth anything because I've been sexually abused. I've been treated appallingly. I've had no love, no affection, no bonding with anybody. I've been treated like worse than a dog would be treated. So they have this like vile feeling about themselves inside. And this is called trauma, you know, they've been traumatized. Absolutely zero validation from parents. If there was validation, like I said, there could have been two parents that have split up through divorce. There could have been one parent that was validating them and the other person that took that validation away. Saying, you're not like that. You're nothing but, you know, you're scum. You'll never amount to anything. You know, you're just like your father, or you're just like your mother. You know, you're going to fail. You're just like your father. You know, you're nasty. You don't have any empathy. You don't have any boundaries, and it's like verbal whipping you. So you can have one person like that, and then the other person compensating. So it's very much a kind of conflict within the mind of a narcissist. Okay, so the narcissist, to gain validation, to feed that hollow self, they will search for people, and like I said, they feel very much above everybody else, like an alien in a way, with no emotion. So they're very good at scanning for people who, anybody that shows any kind of emotion or vulnerability, they will scan for this. Okay, they scan a room for looking for vulnerability and somebody with raw emotion that they could target, you know. And what they do, because they don't have any ego, they don't have any when they see somebody with pure empathy, which they don't have, and compassion, and cries at movies and things like that, what they're saying to themselves, I haven't got that. My parents did not develop that in me, and I wasn't loved enough to actually get that. So I want to take that from you, steal it from you, and feed my own ego here and my own empty core. That's what I want to do with you. And then we go to the next stage, which is covert narcissism, and I'll go into that in the next part of this video. Okay, so the next part, this is part one, but part two is going to be looking at how the narcissist morphs into you and mirrors you. Okay, I won't go into mirroring as per se, but how they morph into, and what do they get from that morphing into a false self, you know, for the outside world. Complicated stuff, isn't it? But I just want to say this is part one. I'm going to be following on to part two next, so please look out for part two. I'll go to my channel. Part two will be also on my channel. If you're interested in any kind of coaching, please give me a contact me. My email address is in the description box at the bottom there if you want any coaching at all with anything, you know, your love life or your family. So sending you lots of love, lots of blessings, and remember, you know, educate yourself about narcissism to help you to be narcissistic free in your life, or recognize anybody in your family who may be at the early stages of narcissism that you could possibly help to get some kind of help with that, although they're very difficult to treat if they've gone really far down the spectrum, like I said earlier. But if they're really at the beginning, like borderline, You know, if they're willing to get help and therapy, you could help that person overcome this. Whoever this is, your son, your daughter, anybody in your family, or if you can see these traits, or, you know, even your partner. But maybe, actually, it may be too far gone if they're older in life. Okay. So sending you lots of love, lots of blessings, and I will see you for part 2. Okay. Oops.